while we descend to Charlotte, North Carolina, and the Charlotte Roval for the last race of the season, the championship went Paul Krone's way, but there's a three-way battle for second between Broderick Johnson, JJ Wang, and Ian Lane. We wonder who will come out on top in that battle. For all the drivers tonight, either way, it's who gets the bragging rights and can trash talk their competitors going into the beginning of the Triple Crown next week. We'll have a little bit more info on that shortly. We'll be watching with excitement as we welcome you to the EMSA Service Experts eRoval Series with Bryan, Sawyer on the production truck and Cody Erdmann next to me in the commentary box. I am Josh Mertz as we are live from the Charlotte Motor Speedway in Concord, North Carolina on the Automotive Sports Network. And don't forget, our coverage and series all season long have been brought to you by the Service Experts Advantage program. Get worry-free comfort at one low monthly payment. For more information, visit serviceexperts.com. Thank you so much to them for their support this season. Cody, we missed you a couple weeks ago. We talked about that. It's not your fault. I'm not mad. What's interesting, this is a layout that a lot of these guys are familiar with if they're not living under a rock and they watch NASCAR. So part one of my question, what do you think about this track? But part two, and Bryan and I were joking, Paul Krone obliterates the field, wins the championship, and pieces out for the last race of the season. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, glad to be back here in Charlotte. Unfortunately, kind of a little bit of misunderstanding last race that we had, so glad to be back here. It's a good, fun layout. Definitely plenty of good passing zones, unlike I think a couple of Rovals we've had where it's been like one passing zone on the entire circuit. Here we have a good couple hard braking zones, be easy to pass. So we're watching coming in through the last final chicane here with our series runner of Dylan Thomas. And yeah, pretty much he locked up the title. So also we're kind of coming on a holiday weekend here in the States, so he might have had something going on. He locked it up early, so might as well have a fun vacation while he's at it. So we'll watch what these guys do, as we do have a good battle for P2 in the series point standings.
As we have began qualifying, as we can take a look at our points coming into this final round of the championship here in Charlotte, as obviously Paul Krone, huge points lead over everybody else, locked up the championship early, but that middle portion there, Broderick Johnson, Dringen Wang, and Ian Lane, 339, 336, 301. That's going to really be the battle that we're going to be focusing on, as it looks like we have lost our graphics for the moment. There we go. So Lane 301, and then we look at Poplet. Jordan Pritchard has returned for Sequential Sim Sport. He sits in sixth in points with 228, so we can expect him to jump Bob Poplet, as I don't think Poplet is not here. Aaron Totten, Isidro, Thomas, and Watson, the rest of the top 10. For those of you that are new to the EMSA eRoval Series, we have this 15-minute qualifying session. This will set the grid for our first feature race. They're going to run for 20 minutes, and then we're going to invert the field. The top 10 usually is inverted, but it has been the field for the last couple of weeks, less than 10. 5-minute warm-up, which we usually now will have a chat with our first feature race winner during that time, and then our second feature race, another 20 minutes. And you wonder who wins overall. How do you calculate that? So, best finish between the two feature races. Think of it as golf. You win the race, you score 1 point. So whoever has the lowest amount of points in the running order wins the race overall. As we ride on board Broderick Johnson. I'm excited to see Cody through the Triple Crown, what will happen with the 82.
Yeah, as we've seen Broderick, he was super fast at the beginning of the season, but then a couple things popped up where he wasn't able to show up to all the events, and unfortunately missed one too many rounds, so that round being calculated into the points and not his drop week, that kind of killed his chance of running for a title.
As currently in qualifying, a 1 minute 14.944 for Ian Lane. We're riding on board currently with still Broderick Johnson, who sits in P2. He's about 2 tenths down on Lane in the 98, the 82. Jeff Mathis, one of the newcomers for the EMSA series, ran a race or two in NASA a couple of seasons ago. Good to see him return here in the Automotive Sports Network. He sits third right now, 1 minute 15.749. I didn't realize that Poplet was here, so let's keep an eye on that battle as Poplet currently fourth in qualifying. That's Downey, Seifker, Thomas, Pritchard, and JJ Wang. As Looks like Bob Poplet looped it there for Sunshine Autos. It's been a wonderful season for this first season of this championship, as once I can figure out where this went, as they have a bunch of stats that I was going to go through, and I managed to lose them all. Here we are. So after 9 rounds, I'll give you some facts here, Cody. 5 different pole winners, but the guy with the most poles is JJ Wang. 7 different feature race winners. The most feature race wins, Paul Crone with 4. I think the way they're scoring that is they still score the feature races as individual races. Broderick Johnson has led the most laps this season at 70, but he came up short for the championship. Paul Crone with those 5 overall wins, and he also has the most podiums at 8. What do those stats say to you, Cody?
Well, for one, it shows that Paul Crone, he was the most consistent driver, making sure he got up front each and every week. I would have to say, something that we've talked about for a while is that Wang's quick. He's just got to be able to put races together. He's kind of a couple mistakes each race whenever he does qualify up front. Kind of bites him and makes him have a mistake. I know it's almost like a key in racing, especially lately. I don't know what's going on, but like making sure you start up front and be able to minimize your mistakes. Like, I know it sounds crazy, but like I just feel like everywhere that's kind of been the thing lately. You got to make sure you start up front, get away from the mess. And unfortunately, Wang hasn't been able to do that.
As Broderick Johnson went P2 in the qualifying order by 3/100ths of a second. Want to give a shout out to our man Bryan Sawyer. He has been working so hard on our graphics package. It's been new compared to the NASA graphics package. We're going to officially debut it in 2023, but shout out to him at the ASN News ticker at the bottom. Certainly an awesome element of our coverage, so keep an eye on that. You got a little bit of news there across the series that we cover. And there you go. You fixed it. I was going to roast you. You spelled your name wrong.
You're supposed to shake and bake me on this lap, okay? Let's go.
Riley Downey wants to be shaken and baked with his teammate Ian Lane. So let's keep an eye on this. He sits in P5. That was a warm-up lap between these two. Cody, take us around this track.
Yeah, as we're coming in through turn 1 here. Now it gets super tight. You have another left-handed corner. You can almost keep it wide open. You got to make sure you hit it right, though. Hard into the right. It's a double apex right-hander. Swing out wide just to the paint and then come back down. There's a rumble strip here on the exit of the second-hand corner. Just jump right over it, run. Now it's kind of another double apex, but it tightens here. So you're kind of braking and turning at the same time. And then, again, I swear this track likes double apex corners. Kind of swing out wide of the wall and come back onto the oval. Don't try not to hit the barrels on the inside. And now you got a nice long run to the backstretch chicane here. As they altered it, it used to be almost wide open, but now they made it so you have to really slow down. Certain cars you can smash the blue turtles and some you can't. That was a little bit too much there. And a hard back on the gas coming out of the chicane through NASCAR 3 and 4. And right at the end of NASCAR 4, you have to hang a left into the infield, or into the tri-oval infield. Brake hard, right, left, bounce off both curbs. And that's the lap around here.
1 minute 15.930.
Here, I'll give you some now.
As I was saying that, Wang went to the top of the board with a 14.7, so good lap time by him.
We're going to see these times begin to heat up, and JJ Wang, we know, super fast in qualifying. Hopefully he can put it all together. 2 weeks ago, he won pole, won the first feature, and had some bad luck in the second feature race. Remember, if you've missed the first 9 rounds of the EMSA Service Experts eRoval series, you can always go back on ASN On Demand. Our links will be somewhere along the Twitch channel or youtube.com/ASNTVUSA for all of that. JJ Wang going back to the pit lane. We're focused right now on Riley Downey, who's giving his teammate, or at least I thought he was giving his teammate, some slipstream. I don't think anyone right now is on a flying lap.
All good.
Seifker, I believe, is. He's sitting in the 8th position. We focus right now. We were on JJ Wang. Now we're back on to Seifker. in car number 2. Seifker had a really good race a couple weeks ago as well. I believe it was Gateway where he had all that, just about to say had a good race, but he got held up by traffic and it compromises his lap. And he was on a flyer, Cody. Super frustrating for that to happen. Won't go any farther because it'll just make me angry.
Yeah, you just got to kind of make sure when you're coming up on your flying lap, make sure you have a clean track in front of you. It's the worst thing you want. I know you can have if you have your teammate in front of you, you're trying to play the draft game, you can, but try not to have anyone else out there. Otherwise, you may unfortunately have that happen.
So Seifker now will have to go back and try it again. We're currently focused on Ian Lane in car number 98. JJ Wang still fastest at a 1 minute 14.798. I'm expecting Broderick Johnson. He leaves the pit lane. Expecting him to set another flying lap. As just about 4 minutes to the dot left in qualifying. And like we've said so many times before with iRacing, you have to get your final lap done before the time expires. So you have to make sure that you have enough time to set your lap and complete it before the session expires. As Ian Lane on track. JJ Wang's going to let Poplet through. This is I'm flicking through the field here. Seifker, I think, is going to come to another flying lap, but I'm also concerned if he's got damage. So we'll have to wait and see. Ian Lane going to wait as well. Seifker beginning a lap. Poplet and Lane, remember Sunshine Auto's teammates, as we ride on board. Seifker in the 2, looks like he hit the wall. In turn 2, the left-hander missed the apex. Way out wide. Again misses the apex. Might be overcompensating and frustrated from that lap that he lost a couple minutes ago, Cody.
Yeah, he could have been notified he was on a good lap with telemetry, and unfortunately, that last couple corners bit him. Looked like Pritchard was also on I was watching Pritchard. He looked like he was on a fast lap and unfortunately tagged the wall coming out of the last chicane too. So same thing as Broderick here. I don't know if I missed it from the previous round, but that looks like a really nice new paint scheme there from Mr. John.
I think it is a new paint scheme, yes. He is representing the service experts for Firestorm Motorsports. And he was the one that brought along, as far as I can remember, he brought along service experts for this series. So super excited that the Triple Crown begins next week. We talked about that in the opener. We do go to Long Beach for that first round of that mini championship, and that's going to be a big thing for whoever wins this race. End this championship in the best possible way, and then you carry that momentum into that brand new, fresh slate 3-round mini championship. Long Beach is the first round, and I believe we go Chicago and Detroit, but it could be flipped as well. Good to see Jordan Pritchard back. Remember the man who won Daytona, blew all of our minds without pitting. Broderick Johnson, I'm going to finish this lap here as we focus on Pritchard for the moment. Johnson crosses the line, 1 minute 14.920, still slower than his fastest lap. So Pritchard, who, when we had that 45-minute feature, didn't pit and won the race, had some form of surgery. I remember you talked to me off-air about it a couple weeks ago. It's good to see him back.
Yeah, he had something in something in his lower leg that he's having a hard time. He can only run just about the length of these features, so it was kind of real painful for him. I know he was trying out with our guys at Sequential for Petit Le Mans. Unfortunately, he really wanted to run it, but unfortunately couldn't because, like I said, he only could sit in the car for about 20-25 minutes without having to need a break. And Petit, you're running hour-long lap time or hour-long stints minimum, so. Glad to see him back on track, and I've talked to him, make sure we are, or if he is going to run the Triple Crown. If so, going to have a new livery because we have a pretty exciting new partnership with Team Watson Racing setups. So looking forward to that. And we'll also be seeing us on NASA Rallycross back with Sequential being back. So with the whole partnership being together.
Downey trying to give his teammate Poplet some slipstream to complete their final laps in qualifying. Poplet misses the chicane, the first part of it, hits the wall. That's going to invalidate his lap. So frustrating when that happens. We focus on Pritchard doing the same thing in the final chicane. He hits the curb, hits the other curb, doesn't hit the wall, crosses the line. 1 minute 15.714. We look at Seifker. was hindered by the Sunshine Autos cars in a couple moments ago. Clobbers the second curve, squirrely off the corner, 1 minute 15.284. And I think that's going to be another pole position as Seifker goes fourth, another pole position for JJ Wang.
Well, let's see if he can put this whole race together. But as we've seen,
take a look at our grid.
As we've seen, the first race is usually the calm one. It's when we invert the entire field like we will be today is where we get entertaining.
I almost, if we end up getting more than 10 cars, which of course I hope, but I also really think that that'd be pretty cool to have the whole field inverted, but I'm also chaotic. Field. Wang, Johnson, Lane, Seifker, Pritchard, Mathis, Poplet, Downey, Thomas. That's our grid for this first feature here in Charlotte. It's going to be a hard one to predict as we get ready to go green for the first 20 minutes in North Carolina. We go green in Charlotte. Off the line, Johnson gets a great start compared to Wang down to turn one. Short run down to the first corner. Side by side, Johnson misses the corner. So does Wang. They're both into the fence. One car, two cars around. It's Pritchard and Poplet. Chaos already. One car around. It's Seifker off the front bumper of Lane. Roderick Johnson gets by. So does Downey in the middle of the track. Was Seifker. And you just said that it was going to be a calm race. Commentators curse, and this one goes to Cody Erdmann. So they'll have to start a new count. Through the road course for the first time, JJ Wang leads Lane, Downey, Johnson, and Mathis the top five. Interesting to see. I see a little bit of damage on JJ Wang's car, Cody. I wonder if that'll affect him as he enters the oval for the first time.
I'd imagine it's going to affect the downforce a little bit. As I was not expecting, apparently we got the heartburn turn here in the eRoval series. We saw it in NASCAR happen a couple times. Wasn't expecting it here, but obviously
deep on the break was Riley. Downey battling with Lane. Made up a huge amount of time. Defending immediately is Lane in the 98 from Downey in car number one. But this is going to let JJ Wang pull away if these guys are battling. Closing slipstream on Lane is Downey. Thought better of it. Remember, anti-lock brakes, so you can't lock it up. But certainly you want to think that they could. At the end of the first lap, JJ Wang leads.
As Johnson's pulling up to the back of these two Sunshine Auto cars of Lane and Downey. Let's see if he does anything with them.
Is through the infield yet again. Such a wonderful layout here in Charlotte. Such a great mix of the oval and the road course. I personally wish they would have ran the extended version that they were supposed to, but they cut off. Johnson goes to the inside, thought better of it, on Downey. They were supposed to go... once they round this hairpin, as there's a complete second section of the track where those blue cones are, they were supposed to make that hairpin, take another hairpin, and then come out of that hairpin on the left. But I figured maybe it was a little bit too Mickey Mouse for the NASCAR Cup cars that originated the Roval here in Charlotte. Johnson slipstreaming on Downey, exiting oval turn 2, nearly bump drafting. Downey defends, peeking to the outside, halfway, even into the chicane. Better line is Johnson. He misses the apex. Downey holds it. I thought he was a little farther up than that, but couldn't get it done.
Yeah, Downey's putting on a good fight, but he's slowing him down. Lane's able to pull away from him here. So now Lane's trying to set his sights on Wang. Wang's running a good race so far. Keeping us just watching out of the windshield.
As we're going to try and pull up a replay. Fastest lap goes to JJ Wang, 1 minute 18.876. As remember, the fastest lap gets the Destino Motorsports Dash Award of $5 iRacing credit. As we take a look, and it just looks like turn one shenanigans here in Charlotte. There's really no explanation for it. As it's not a long run down to the first corner, and when something goes wrong, you don't have a lot of room. That's what's unique about this Roval. It's very street circuit-like in the infield.
Yeah, it's a mix of like street circuit, kind of Daytona Roval-ish, where you got the backstretch chicane. But it's a fun little circuit. I honestly, kudos to the whole Charlotte team, kind of laying this track out, making it what it is. It's a pretty fun circuit for what they made out of a stock car oval.
As gap to lane from Wang is 3/4 of a second. Downey and Johnson, this is our closest battle so far. We'll just have to take a look and see The important bits, exiting the bus stop through Oval 3 and 4, exiting the Roval, because we saw, 2017, 2018, Jimmy Johnson in this corner nearly winning the race, and crashed Truex, I think, and Ryan Blaney won that race, if memory serves me correctly. So we'll see some chaos into that final corner, of course, as he resets. Broderick resets fastest lap now, 1 minute 18.752.
This is a pretty entertaining battle for P5 right now going on. Pritchard's kind of rallied back, and to Mathis. Mathis sitting P5 at the moment, Pritchard P6. It seems like Pritchard is a little bit quicker, so we'll have to keep an eye and see if Pritchard's able. Oh, as Pritchard just clips the grass, gets a little bit squirrely.
As last lap, Johnson was 0.3 up on Downey. Even on lap time was J.J. Wang with Ian Lane. Those two are in their own battle. Although Downey into the wall, and it looked like Johnson might have followed him, but I think Johnson's going to get the run. We'll have to be careful and look at if there's any damage on those two cars. I think Downey did. Slipstreaming down the back straightaway. Car length is the difference. Johnson's going to go to the inside. And Downey's going to get spooked and skip the chicane. As a big Formula One and road racing guy, that was a textbook move. He might have cut the track and gained a little bit of an advantage, but now Downey knows, okay, Johnson doesn't care what he does. He's going to make the move, and now gives up the time, it looks like Downey does. And now Johnson spooked Downey. Who knows what will happen on this next lap?
Yeah, Johnson kind of thought about it for a second there, diving up inside into one. Thought better of it. Now we got 4 cars under a blanket here, essentially. Let's see if Johnson has learned Downey's weakness, and it seems like that's the corner that he gets the best runs. See if he's able to do anything with it.
As Johnson was a 10th up last lap, Jeff Mathis was a second faster than these guys in that clear track. So as they're squabbling, he has snuck into the picture, battling. This is for the 3rd spot on the podium. Expect some slipstream. This back straightaway chicane, always fantastic. We'll see who gets a great run out of the corner. Car length is the difference from Downey to Johnson. Downey's going to give him the inside, breaking the slipstream, but that wasn't a good move because Johnson, I think, is going to do the same thing. Peeks to the outside, side by side. Mathis is going to get the best run. If that happens again, Downey misses the first apex, hits the second apex, but if these guys are side by side, not yet. Slipstreaming again. It was a car length. Now he's on the rear wing of car number 1. Is car number 82 exiting turn 4 of the oval down to the final chicane. Inside, even first apex. Johnson misses it, pushes him wide, and I thought they were going to hit again, but Johnson goes to 3rd. Downey's compromised. Exiting the corner. Will Mathis take the fight? Mathis can't get close enough.
So unfortunately with this battle, that set them way behind Lane. As Lane's kind of caught up to the back of Wang, so we'll have to keep an eye on that as well. Now let's see if Johnson can catch up to those two. Now let's see if Mathis is able to get anything done with Downey.
Last lap, 1 minute 19.5 for J.J. Wang, 1 minute 19.6 for Lane. Everybody else is in the 20 and 21 second bracket. As Nate Seifker has parked it in car number 2. Dylan Thomas off the track, so I'm flicking through the field. He went off the track from the 7th position, as the gap about a quarter of a second from J.J. Wang to Ian Lane. So hard to get this car right, to get the lines right. Downey aces the apexes now, all over the rear wing, hits the wall, and that's going to give Mathis the spot.
I wouldn't say that was acing the apex there.
He hit the No. He hit the apexes perfectly and also hit the wall perfectly. So I was not incorrect.
Oh, Johnson really jumped that first curb there.
Mathis gets a nudge from Downey. Downey goes to the inside. We know he's frustrated off of that. Barely enough room for 2 cars to fit. Mathis squirrely under acceleration. Remember, all-wheel drive in these electric cars. Nearly contact. Downey's compromised into the next corner. Pritchard sneaks into the picture as well. Pritchard squirrely hit the curb, lost a little bit of ground. Top 2 don't have a battle. 3rd place, Johnson pulling away. We're looking at the battle of focusing on 4th, 5th, and 6th. If you're just joining us here on the Automotive Sports Network, EMSA Service Experts eRoval Series, Cody Erdmann alongside me, Josh Mertz, Bryan, Sawyer, the production truck. Thank you guys for joining us on ASN Live or ASN On Demand. About halfway through this first feature here in Charlotte, the final race of the championship. Champion's not here, but he doesn't care. He won it early. We can go back up front, Bryan. We have a battle potentially for the race lead. It got really spicy into this chicane. We'll have to take a look and see. Lap times, they were 1 minute 19.804 and 807. It was lane to Wang. 3 1,000ths, faster was lane over Wang. We'll see it when it refreshes here. It's been a long day. Last lap, 1 minute 19.721 for Wang, 765 for Lane. Cody, I'll let you explain. How hard is it when you're mimicking lap times, lap after lap? How frustrating is it to not get closer to the guy in front?
It's absolutely frustrating because you're trying everything in the book, trying to think about it on how you can possibly be quicker, but it's just one of those days where these two are identical. And actually, if I look back one other spot, Lane was a 7.65 and Johnson was a 7.67. So the top three are within thousands of each other almost. Each and every lap.
Trying to pull away from Downey. Downey clobbered the wall there in the chicane. I wonder if there's some left side suspension damage. As I look on a different camera, he's got some bodywork damage on that car. And remember, the field gets inverted after this first feature race. So we'll see what happens in the next 20 minutes after this feature. And Downey aces the apexes and doesn't hit the wall this time. And almost Johnson, 1 minute 19.7. He was 0.6 up on Mathis, but he's losing ground to the top two.
Yeah,
JJ Wang over the curbs, cuts the track. I think that's going to be a slowdown for him. We'll have to wait and see
though.
if he can get the slowdown done in the right time. Lane peak to the inside. Pritchard got by Downey for the fourth spot. Side by side, battling for the race lead. Outside is Lane. Inside is JJ Wang. Wang cut the track. Had to give up a slowdown. He clears him off the corner. They are they are bumper to bumper in the 61 and the 98. I looked off monitor. Pritchard got by Downey in car number 1. Did car number 9, our winner from Daytona Beach. We still have this battle for the race lead between Wang and Ian Lane.
That was some textbook defense there and trying to serve that slowdown, be able to keep Lane behind him.
I tried to take a moment and drink water, hoping that you would speak longer, and you didn't. It's okay.
Sorry.
It's okay. Lane
right on
hit the apex of the first part of it. And JJ might be a little frazzled here. Contact between Pritchard and Downey in the final in the backstretch chicane. As Pritchard missed the first apex, clipped the curb of the second, and looped it in car number 9. No radio communication between those two. We'll just have to wait and see. As just under 8 minutes, there's the replay. Not really sure what to say about that one.
I think that one was Downey thought he'd be rolling quicker when he got there, and unfortunately he wasn't, and he just kind of put the bumper to him.
Speaking of putting the bumper to him, if we can get back on live pictures with JJ Wang and Ian Lane exiting the backstretch of the Roval into the double apex. Last lap was a 1 minute 21.8, and JJ went off track, so that one wasn't scored, so we can't really tell who was where. Remember, fastest lap so far was a 1 minute 18.752. That was Broderick Johnson in car number 82. They are 2 3/4 seconds ahead of Broderick Johnson, as it's pretty much evened out for now, as aside from this battle for the race lead.
Good chicane there by Lane. Still just right on the back, just back bumper. Can't do anything with him. Although he's got a run here going into the front stretch chicane here.
There's a car length difference through 3 and 4 of the oval. Better chicane that Lane did over JJ Wang, but there's really not enough distance on the front straightaway to do anything with it. 1 minute 20.005, 1 minute 20.035. That's incredible. The level of consistency that these guys have to do. Clipping the curb as Wang pushed him out wide in the middle of the racing line. And Lane's here. over the rear wing of the 61. And I know I've said that for the last 3 laps, but I expect that something's going to happen. I think Lane's the faster car here in the long run, because we know that JJ Wang's super quick on hot laps. It sounds really familiar. Sounds a lot like me. Car length gap between them. Make it a car length and a half. Nearly 2. JJ pulls Lane through 1 and 2 of the oval onto the back straightaway, as we're going to take under 6 minutes left to go here in this first feature. And I think Lane's best move here, Cody, is to try and spook JJ into a mistake again, because if they're going to run the same lap times, they're just going to follow each other home.
Yeah, I think Lane's trying to figure out what chicane he's got a better chance of throwing the Hail Mary into. He's looking there, but nothing. He does seem to have a better run out of the backstretch chicane into that one, so I wonder if he just gets a little bit of a better run where he's able to stick his bumper on the outside of the oval, but it'll be the inside of the chicane. Kind of like
Jeff Mathis in the 72 slid it out of the final chicane. Didn't lose any spots, but he did lose some time to Downey. Everybody else still running their own races, really, as we still focus on this battle for the race lead. JJ Wang was about a 10th up, barely a 10th, just under a 10th, over Ian Lane. If Lane can hang on to this rear wing, like you said, get a better run out of the final chicane, or the backstretch chicane, I should say, and send it into the final chicane. But maybe it's going to be now, as JJ really squirrely under acceleration. Lane might get the run. 140 miles an hour, slipstreaming down the back straightaway. I wouldn't have pulled out that soon if I was him. Down to the chicane, even side by side, will weighing out brake himself. Misses the first part of it, but boxes him out. I think sending it to the inside would be a better idea to do, although I'm not in one of these cars.
I do agree with you. I think it's on this circuit, it's easier for the front car to defend that inside better, where you almost just have to send it around the outside and hope to God it sticks.
Well, we saw with, what was it, Broderick earlier, sending it, making it stick, but then getting past. So completing a pass is one thing, but holding that position after the fact is another, because to make a last gas move, you'd be compromising your run through the oval portion.
It does seem that Lane's strongest point over Wang is in through this infield section. If he's able to get something running down a little bit of a better run to that first double apex corner, where he's able to kind of
into the wall goes Wang, into the 61. Will that give him right rear damage?
That car does look a little bit beat up on the right side already from that turn 1 incident.
Deep into the backstretch chicane, deep on the brakes. Like I mentioned a couple minutes ago, I always think you're going to lock him up, even though it's physically impossible because of the anti-lock brakes. You can go so deep on the brake pedal in these cars. It's unreal. Under 3 minutes left to go in this first feature, and we have the battle for the race lead, for the race win. Everyone else pretty much running their own race like we've talked about earlier. JJ might have hit the wall again. Cody misses turn 1.
Don't look now. Broderick Johnson, he's sitting in the Ryan Blaney position. If these two wreck, Johnson could come out and win this. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. But
Lane much cleaner on the apexes. Not as aggressive with the steering input. It was very all over the place, really, for JJ Wang, holding off Lane in the 98. And this is the little bit of the elevation change, because that right-hand corner, that left-hand corner, up and down like a roller coaster, and then back out onto the oval. Just under 2 minutes left to go. Lap times were even that last time around, as Jeff Mathis sitting in P5 had some issues earlier on in the race, but faring good in his first EMSA race for TWR. As we are focused still on the battle for the race lead between JJ Wang and Ian Lane. Lane, who won in Pocono, JJ Wang has not won a race overall. And we're going to probably get one more lap here, Cody, to see what will happen. And Lane is all over this rear wing.
as we are getting the white flag here.
Into turn 1. Misses the apex again. Did JJ Wang. When I say misses the apex, he didn't miss it by a mile, but compared to Lane, he was probably half a foot to a foot off that apex. And in situations like this, you have to certainly be inch perfect. Exiting the corner down the backstretch of the Roval. JJ Wang defends. It's a car length gap. Through the right, through the left. Lane got a good run. Peek to the outside. Now he's going to sneak to the inside. I would have sent it, but he knows better than me. Wang into the wall. Position change. Lane goes to the race lead. And that was exactly what I talked about, Cody. Spook him into a mistake.
Yeah, as we noticed Wang kept throwing it wide out of that corner anyway, so tell him he's on your inside, and that's what happens. You just kind of bounced into the wall again.
Lane is gone.
Checked out for a good 5-6 car lengths already, if not more.
The man who won in Pocono, we thought was going to make the move in this corner, but surprised us all, re-entering the oval. Still got one more feature race left, so don't go away. Ian Lane wins feature race 1 ahead of JJ Wang, and Broderick Johnson comes home in 3rd. Downey 4th. 5th will be Jeff Mathis. Actually, maybe not. Mathis and Poplet battling. Poplet, huge run off the corner, and side by side into the wall. Mathis holds P5. Poplet 6th.
That's fun.
Poplet 6th.
Anyways.
7th is Pritchard. Thomas and Seifker, the remaining running order. Remember, we got a couple minutes of a warm-up, and then we have our second feature, so don't go away. As let me grab your thoughts real quick on that first feature while I grab our first feature winner, Ian Lane.
I definitely wasn't expecting the whole turn 1 fiasco. Although, like I said, we saw it in NASCAR and everything. A couple times we've gone here, the start into turn 1, since it's not in their regular rhythm, is easy to make a mistake in. And that's what happened. So, and good move there by Ian. Kind of saw where a couple weaknesses were from Wang through the last couple laps there, and was able to capitalize on a good run that he had coming through that. Like I said, that infield section, he seems a little bit better. So he was able to kind of capitalize on a decent run in the right spot and brought home the win. Only had to lead the last lap, and that's what he did.
As we're going to try and get our feature race winner, Ian Lane, on here. As just trying to see where he is. I don't think he's on the Discord. So we'll bring in Dylan Thomas instead.
I take back what I said, Jeff. I got a little squirrely at
you got us?
Exit.
Yes, sir. How you guys doing?
More than
We're doing good. Like. I have really nothing planned to ask you. I was gonna bring Ian Lane in here. Hold on, radio. Gonna bring Ian in here, and he's not around. So I wanted to ask you. I think I've probably asked you this before on air, but I have the memory of a goldfish. I mean, what's your thoughts of this season so far? Are you excited for the Triple Crown? How are you feeling overall with the car, the track, everything like that?
Yeah, the season was really interesting. You know, we obviously started with changing a couple of different rules and different format changes, and came together as a group and decided on how we want to go for it. You know, for the second half, probably a little over second half of the race this season, and I think it's been really fun. Obviously, the second half of the season, we also dropped off in participation, which is it's pretty normal, but we're hoping to keep growing and welcome back any of our old members, and it's been a lot of fun. Obviously, right now we don't have any of the other back markers with me that are usually with me, so I was kind of out by myself. But I'm really looking for the Triple Crown. I think the street courses are really fun to drive in this car. I've done Long Beach quite a few times in this car, and I have a lot of fun with it. I'm probably going to be slow there too, but I think it's going to be a fun series.
Yeah, that's fine. With what you've seen, is there anything that you're thinking about possibly for changing up in that Triple Crown? or are we just kind of keeping it what we got going?
For its format, it's going to be the same. I don't. We're not going to do qualifying points for the Triple Crown, just so it keeps it a little bit more clear of what our overall points are for especially for y'all in the broadcast booth. It keeps it a little bit easier to keep track of. I'm not sure if we're going to go forward with that in future seasons, but at least in the Triple Crown, we're going to keep it pretty simple with just with just feature points. And then we're looking at seeing what we could do if someone wins all 3 in a row, so that it could be like a true Triple Crown champion. You know what I mean? But I think it's gonna be pretty neat. There's not gonna be a drop week, so you have to be there all 3 weeks if you want, to be in contention. But a little something different.
For sure is. We're just wrapping up. We got about a minute left here. Is anyone for your team or the series itself that you'd like to thank on having a successful first season here with this car and you guys being a new series?
Yeah, I'd like to thank the entire EMSA members, all of the drivers that showed up all through season, even those who only dropped in for 1 or 2 races. It only helped us keep growing, and we had some races that had more than others, but no, I really like to thank everyone that dropped them in. I really like to thank y'all guys in the ASN booth for dropping in with us, and also obviously service experts for jumping on board and helping us with the broadcast.
As we appreciate you letting us join on board this new endeavor that we have on iRacing. It's the first league to ever run the series, so it's been an entertaining series to kind of follow and commentate for you guys. So good luck tonight, and we'll look forward to seeing you for the Triple Crown.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
As I had to go rescue my wife, so apologies that I had to vanish for a couple of moments, but thank you, Cody, for finishing that. As we get ready for the second feature and the final feature of the inaugural season here in the EMSA Service Experts eRoval series, and it's going to reverse the grid from the first feature. Nate Seifker and Thomas on the first row of the grid. Then it's Jordan Pritchard and Bob Poplet, Jeff Mathis and Riley Downey, Broderick Johnson, JJ Wang, and Ian Lane. Remember, our coverage and series brought to you by the Service Experts Advantage program. Get worry-free comfort at one low monthly payment. For more information, visit serviceexperts.com. As Broderick Johnson currently holds the fastest lap of the evening, I can't remember what it is, but he's got that. I think it's a 1 minute 18.752. I was going to say now I actually remember. As thank you guys so much for joining us on the Automotive Sports Network all season long for this inaugural championship here in EMSA. We got 20 minutes left of this race, and then we got the Triple Crown. We get ready to go green in North Carolina. Green flag in Concord, off the line. Better run for Seifker compared to Thomas. Pritchard goes to the inside in turn number 1. Hopefully no chaos into the corner this time. Side by side, Pritchard and Thomas even. Side by side, Mathis with Downey. Calm so far. Into the wall. I lied. Dillon goes into the wall. 3 wide, nearly. Poplet thought of it, clipped the curve, got sideways. Downey on his outside. Contact nearly between them. JJ Wang goes by Johnson, exiting turn 3. 1 car into the grass. It's Downey. He saves it. 3 wide behind him as Lane gets into Poplet, nearly the teammates. Side by side, Johnson with JJ Wang. Seifker out in front trying to pull away. Single file now through the infield for the first time, Cody. Seifker, hopefully he gets better luck this time.
Yeah, as these two have just checked out from the rest of the field. Thomas is kind of being the core to the bottleneck right now. Once everyone get around him, they're going to start freight training him.
Mathis gets the draft down the back straight away on Thomas on the outside. Can he get it done? He got pinched to the curb. Downey got pinched to the curb as well. Mathis takes the spot. Downey might have cut the curb on the inside of the right part of the chicane. Slipstreaming is Downey on Thomas. At the end of the first lap, it looks like it's going to be Seifker. Downey peeks to the outside. Now Peaks thought of it to the left-hand side. That's going to give him the inside. Deep on the brakes! And contact with JJ Wang and Thomas and Downey as Lane has to cut the track. And that looked like just a couple of guys misjudging their braking points, Cody.
Yeah, it was just a couple, like we said, this invert kind of mixes everyone up, and got to kind of be patient a little bit in the first beginning. And some guys see it as an opportunity to be able to slice through the field as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, mistake there by Wang kind of bouncing into the back of him is now. Looks like Johnson had a slowdown there.
As
Ready
a
to give
couple
up two
cars
spots.
had to straight line that chicane given those circumstances. Seifker leads Pritchard, Mathis, Poplet, Downey, Johnson, Lane, Wang, and Dylan Thomas. As our league founder, if he didn't have any luck, what's the saying? If he has no luck, he didn't have any, something like that. I can't get words out correctly right now. All I'm saying is he doesn't have any good luck at all. Seifker nearly into the wall, Pritchard to the race lead, and for the first time since Daytona Beach, I believe, number 9 in the race lead.
I was just thinking, it'd be a crazy thought that Jordan would be our bookends. He wins the first race and he wins the final.
Well, remember, while he could potentially win this feature, I'm not sure if he would get anywhere close to the overall, but we've seen this chaos already in this first bit. 1 minute 18.857 from Mathis. Still slower for the evening compared to Broderick Johnson. And JJ Wang deep in the field after having that incident.
Ooh.
Lane's deep in the field. Battle for the race lead. Seifker to the inside of Jordan Pritchard. You don't want to clip the curb there when you have a car on your outside. At least the turtle on the right side, the sleeping policeman. If you hit that wrong, it'll send you into your competitor. Into the fence goes Seifker. Holding the lead is Pritchard.
Now that gap may be big enough for Pritchard. He doesn't have to worry about the draft as much.
We have the Sunshine Autos teammates 6th and 7th. As I'm looking at this right now, I don't know who. I know, Josh, it's way too early to talk about overall. You know I like to do that after 3.5 corners. Pritchard would be 8 points, Seifker 11, Mathis 8, Downey 8, Johnson 8. Everybody would have 8 points or more, and Pritchard would win because he's winning overall, or winning this second feature. So, still a long way to go. But that's what's interesting is Lane into his teammate from the 7th spot. He gets passed by JJ Wang. So our first feature race winner, and who we thought might take the fight to everybody, not having a good day. I'll tell you though, Pritchard loves this. Because if he holds this lead, he'd win overall, which is incredible to think about.
Guys, he's just putting in the laps right now. Although it does seem like Seifker is just a hair quicker. Although it seems like he makes a little bit more of the mistakes. Kind of like, must be a TWR thing. Those guys are super fast, just kind of right on the edge. They're like the Eli Tomacs of the series.
Oh, yes. Yes, that makes me want to go back to Supercross really badly to witness that. But
possibly for the final time, by the way.
As that's what I've been hearing, is Eli might call it a day. As I'm going to look off monitor. Johnson beating Wang now for overall. Johnson 8 points, Wang 9 points. He would still lose on a tiebreak.
Oh, Seifker goes around.
Seifker
the curb
from 2nd spot. As
Lane disconnects, he calls it a night.
As Lane is out, so our first feature race winner out from the 9th spot. Seifker looped it from 2nd, so now Pritchard and Jeff Mathis in the top 2 positions. Johnson and Downey battling for 3rd.
Ooh. Johnson looked up the inside of Downey. Nothing there. It's also helping Poplet join the picture here, so 3-way battle for P3.
Mathis has Poplet into the fence, and he's got some right side damage. This is an update here. Jeff Mathis might win this race overall if it ends like this, because he has 7 points to Pritchard's 8 in his first race. That'd be wild. Because I don't think anybody else has... No. Everybody else has higher amount of points. They've got 8 or more. Wow. That'd be wild.
As Nate also has left the building.
Seifker out as well. So easy to make a mistake in these cars. And we have just over 13 minutes left to go in the EMSA season, the inaugural season of the EMSA Service Expert eRoval Series. What started 11 weeks ago and ends tonight. Certainly been an exciting series to watch on the Automotive Sports Network. And a shout out to our boy Bryan Sawyer. He had never directed anything before in sim racing until this series. So we want to give him kudos to listening to me scream into a microphone and following me and somehow making it all look like it makes sense. Downey third, Mathis second, Pritchard first. But Johnson, Poplet, that's fourth, fifth, JJ Wang in sixth. As JJ Wang hit the wall, loops it in the 61. I don't know if he's going to be the next guy to call it quits. Attrition in this second feature. This is more attrition than I've seen in a while, at least immediately. Normally everyone just drives around even if they're in last. We've got two guys that are out after a couple of incidents.
It is the final end of the season. We kind of know that all they're really racing for is a win. And the way a couple of these guys have shown they're so consistent, you make one mistake like that and you're pretty much done for the night.
As Mathis still second. Pritchard leads. Let's look at lap times. 19.6, 19.7. 6 was Pritchard, 7 was Mathis. 19.1 was Riley Downey. Johnson was a 19.8. As I'm still trying to keep track on all these results. As Broderick Johnson finished third in the first feature, he's currently fourth place right now. That would give him 7 points. 7 points for Downey, 7 points for Mathis, 8 points for Pritchard, 11 for Poplet, 8 for Wang, and 15 for Dylan Thomas. So Mathis in the catbird seat unless he would even hold that. The only way that would improve is if Johnson gets by Downey. We'll have to wait and see. Last lap, he was 7 tenths down.
It seems like Downey's super fast with that backstretch chicane there that they just went through. He's able to hit those apexes perfectly. Until he wants to hit the wall like the one time. But
hey, I will still stand by that he hit those apexes perfectly. Okay, go back on demand after us and watch it. And I'm telling you, right as I said that, he hit those perfectly and also hit the wall perfectly.
No, I'm not. Honestly, now that I think about it, you are right. He hit them exactly to a T. He just had a little bit too much speed while hitting them perfectly and decided to clobber the wall with it.
1 minute 19.997 for Pritchard, 19.5 for Mathis, 19.365 for Downey, and a 4.15 for Johnson. For Johnson to win this race, he would have to get by Downey. I would give him 6 points compared to Mathis with 7 points. I think that's our battle. As JJ Wang in the pit lane, so we might be losing yet another driver. Well, he's exited the pit lane, so we'll have to wait and see. As Pritchard, Mathis, Downey, Johnson, Poplet, Dylan Thomas going to be in 6th now once he gets by, or he did get by, JJ Wang. As Ian Lane is reconnected to the session, so interesting to see that. 1 minute 20.0 for Pritchard. 19.8 for Mathis, 20.4 for Downey, 20.4 for Johnson. And 9 minutes left in the season. And if Johnson wants to win overall, he's got to get by Downey. But Jordan Pritchard trying to bookend his championship season by winning the overall race, or at least winning the feature race in Daytona Beach and trying to win a feature race here in Charlotte. So that'll be an interesting conversation. As there is a consolation prize to Johnson finishing in this position because he would get 2nd place in the points by 5 over JJ Wang. As JJ Wang not having a good evening in car number 61. And Mathis isn't over yet. The gap is a 1.5 seconds between himself and Pritchard. He wants to win this race overall and the feature race on the road. So we'll just have to wait and see. in the next 8 minutes and 5 seconds. No real battle through the field. Everybody pretty calm. We're going to take another look at lap times. 1 minute, 19.9, 19.2 for Mathis, 7/10 up. At the last timing line, it was 9/10 of a second was the gap, and it is coming down. I think Pritchard might have burned his stuff up in car number 9. Gap is 3/4 of a second. I think Mathis has gotten in tune with this car, aced the first double apex down the back stretch of the road course. Cody's not going to like this if he gets past, but it'll certainly be for good entertainment. Holding a very tight line. I'd have to say that Pritchard had to have burned his stuff up because he is pushing wide at every point of asking of that car to stay in line, and it's not. It is not obedient. 1/4 of a second is the gap. He took half a second away in the infield alone. Flipstream as we ride on board Jeff Mathis in car number 72. Down the back straightaway. Pritchard looked to defend the middle into the chicane. First curb, second curb. Pritchard hit the sleeping policeman. Mathis did not. Gap is just under half a second as we round 3 and 4 of the oval. As Mathis, in his inaugural race here in EMSA, might win this race overall, but he doesn't care about that. He wants to win on the road. And the gap at the line was 9/10 last lap. It is now 5/10, half a second. Last lap was a 1 minute 20.310 for Pritchard, 1 minute 19.8 for Mathis. And this part of the eRoval, turns 2 and 3, I think it is, or 3 and 4. The double apex here, best corners for Mathis. Complaining under acceleration was Pritchard, down the back straightaway again. Pritchard took a little bit wider line on quarter entry, and Mathis able to hug the curb. He is all over the rear wing now of Pritchard. He goes to the inside! Not a good passing spot. He's going to make it work. Pritchard into the fence, and Mathis to the race lead. What a move by the 72 in a place that normally wouldn't make a pass. Wow. As Cody, you're back. I need to take a sip of water. You just missed a pass for the race lead.
As I just came back right when that was happening, as we saw Johnson kind of make the same move, or no, Lane make the same move on Wang, but that one was a little bit more aggressive.
He backed up that corner 2 corners before that. That gave him the opportunity to take that fight. Car length is the gap between Pritchard and Mathis, all over the rear wing of Mathis's Pritchard. Let's get a reset here with Mathis. He has 6 points now. Johnson has 7 points. Downey has 7 points, but they're in their own zip code. Mathis has pretty much solidified this race lead overall because he's ahead of Pritchard. They have to get by. Even if they get by, if Downey or Johnson does, Mathis still holds the lead overall. What a race for Jeff Mathis.
That he will, but another thing too, there is kind of a battle for the second spot on the podium, as Johnson is right on the back bumper of Downey. And if Johnson gets around him, as Johnson makes a big wiggle there, if Johnson gets around him, he will end up being the second one on the podium. So it's kind of a battle of P2 on the podium right now as well.
His last lap, Mathis was 8/10 up on Pritchard. Last lap, Downey ran a 1 minute 20.6. Roderick Johnson, 1 minute 19.901. Such a wonderful series, and I know I said that multiple times through this show, but such a wonderful series, and it's just for things like this. Mathis, little wide. Pritchard got a little bit wider in that chicane. They are both pushing for all they're worth to get this race win. So I don't think this battle's over. We've got under 4 minutes left. I was talking when you were away how wonderful it would be, just piggybacking off of what you said. Pritchard opens our inaugural season with a win and potentially would close this season with a win. We know he's not going to quit yet.
No, it seems like Mathis is pushing extra hard, and the rear tires are sliding around on him a little bit, so we'll have to keep an eye on that, make sure he doesn't make a mistake. Also, I think we may have... Nope, never mind. I thought we may have lap traffic, but they're a little further up the road than I thought.
As J.J. Wang and Dylan Thomas, they're battling for the 6th spot. They are battling for position. Wang got by Thomas. We might see some lap traffic. We remember New Hampshire when we had those blue flag fiasco. But much calmer now. And this battle for second cooling off as well between Downey and Johnson. Second overall, I should say. As 2 minutes 45 left, I think we're going to get about 2 laps to go here in Charlotte. And it's been a wonderful season so far. Pritchard sent it through the chicane, 1 minute 20.5. He was almost a second slower as he got airborne through the second section of the chicane. All 4 off the ground, trying to make something happen here.
Yeah, definitely going to have to put a new underpan on that car.
As last lap, 1 minute 19.7, 1 minute 20, or 19.7 for Mathis, 1 minute 20.5 for Pritchard, 1 minute 19.7 for Downey, 1 minute 20.3 for Johnson. Unless something, as Lane resets fastest lap, the man who left and reconnected, 1 minute 18.199, I think it said, 198 is what timing says. I don't remember if that's reset the fastest lap for the evening.
I believe it has, actually.
As Bryan Sawyer does confirm, it was a 1 minute 18.7. I thought it was a 17.7 for some reason. But that resets fastest lap. So Ian Lane trying to get the consolation prizes. He's in the pit lane now as he set fastest lap and parked the car. So he really wanted that $5 iRacing credit.
Mic drop.
So I think we're going to get our white flag. Barney throws the white flag of the 2022A EMSA Service Experts eRoval Series. And it has certainly been an incredible season from the high banks of Daytona Beach all the way through here to Charlotte, Iowa, Gateway, Atlanta. I know I'm missing a few. New Hampshire, just trying to think off the top of my head. Pocono. It's been Indianapolis. It's been such an incredible series to watch grow. Even though we only have 9 cars, you say, Josh, what are you talking about? This season has had ups, it has had downs. It had Jordan Pritchard starting the season when we had the 45-minute feature race, running the entire race without pitting after everybody said, oh, you're going to have to pit and make a 4-minute pit stop. Jordan Pritchard said, nah, hold my beer, won that race. We had the Sunshine Autos teammates in Pocono. We had some blue flags issues in New Hampshire. But Jeff Mathis, in his first start, did okay in the first feature race, survived the calamity. If I'm looking at this unofficially so I don't mess up this call, it looks like he will do it. Mathis in his first race here in EMSA is going to be the one to carry into the Triple Crown the bragging rights of winning the final race of the championship. It has been a Paul Crone domination of this championship, but not today. Jeff Mathis, through the final chicane, makes his debut in EMSA. He wins the second feature race, and he wins overall in Charlotte for TWR, finishing second at the line is Pritchard. Downey finishes in third on the road. Fourth for Johnson. It'll be Downey and Johnson, second and third on the overall podium. As Poplet comes home in fifth. Sixth will be JJ Wang. Seventh, Thomas. Eighth, Lane. Ninth, Nate Seifker. But Jeff Mathis, victorious at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
As he just put on a perfect race there.
Let me get these.
Was able to.
You tally these points real fast. We might have the overall win tonight, but just give me 1 minute.
It's just like F1, the celebratory donuts and drift modes are going on.
As I'm going to try and get... We'll try and get Riley Downey on here, but we take a look at the results of our second feature here in Charlotte. As we wait for Riley Downey, this is the second feature results. Jeff Mathis wins. Pritchard, Downey, Johnson pop with the top 5. Then it's Wang, Thomas, Lane, and Seifker. As Cody, we're going to bring in our unofficial overall third place man on the podium, Broderick Johnson. He's all yours.
Hey there, Broderick. Got us?
Got you guys.
As first off, I'll say that livery that you were running tonight was absolutely stunning. What were you thinking? That first race, I don't know if y'all took the lessons of what we saw in NASCAR where we just saw everyone miss turn 1. What were you thinking when that happened?
Just a lack of practice, honestly. Not enough. I mean, no one really goes out there and stops at the start finish line and says, okay, where do I brake going into turn one? So it's really a
Hi guys,
guessing
top
game every
three
time. And
are
I
is
thought I
Jeff
went in
Mathis,
conservative, but almost
in
instantaneously was
first
like,
place with a
nope,
5-1
I'm not
for
making
a
this
total of
corner.
6.
And what sucks about it is
Then we
that
have Bradley Downing
JJ
in
did the
second
same
with a
thing. You know, I
4-3
think that
for a total of
we're both
7.
being aggressive
And
there,
Brian
trying to
Johnson with a 3-4
get the jump
for a
on each
total
other,
of
knowing we're
7.
battling each other for P2 in the
And Riley
championship.
Downing gets
So that's one
the
thing I was
tiebreaker,
thinking
obviously,
about.
for
But
the
hey,
P2.
it is what
Thanks
it
guys
is.
for
Yeah, I
everyone
had
showing
to
up.
do
The
what I
top
could
3
from
head
there, and
to
I'm
Discord
glad that
for your
Ian got
interviews.
that
Thank you.
first feature win, because that put some pressure on JJ in the second feature. So
As you were able to wrap up unofficially P3, you and Downing were actually battling for that P2 spot, possibly, in that second feature there. With what did you think of that battle? Because you two were pretty much nose to tail that entire time, almost both races, I would want to say.
yeah, I didn't give him much room in that first feature. Once I hit the wall, someone else got in front of me, and then they got bumped, and I had to avoid that. That allowed Riley to get in front of me, and so I felt like I was faster than him in that first feature, and didn't give him much room. So I mean, we were pretty similar on pace the entire time, but I just couldn't wait battling for P2 in the championship. So as far as that second feature goes, my tires were dead. I mean, I would get a few laps where I would be pretty close to him in pace, but for the most part, my tires were dead by the time we were racing. So I was just doing everything I could to maintain some kind of small gap between us, hoping that he would make a mistake and let me slide in there, but wasn't meant to be.
Are you going to be joining us for the Triple Crown?
Yeah, absolutely. We have service experts on the car today, so you want to thank service experts for everything they do for me, for the series EMSA now in general. Got to get them on the car today as the primary sponsor. Wanted to get the overall win, to seal that deal this season. But hey, they're going to be on the car all 3 races through the Triple Crown. So we'll have 3 opportunities there for them, and hoping we can make it work in one of them.
For sure is kind of already listed off one of them, the kind of big one. But anyone else you'd like to thank that was able to get you P3 here tonight and play like you said, play P2 overall in the points, and then going into our Triple Crown coming up.
Yeah, overall a good season. Thanks to everybody who was a part of it. Firestorm for what they do for me. Dylan, what he's doing for the series. Exciting stuff coming up that we've been talking about. So excited to see where it goes. Thanks to you guys, of course, and I'll see you guys for the Triple Crown.
Thank you, my friend. We look forward to seeing you in Long Beach.
See ya.
As one more for you, Cody, we're going to bring in our second place man overall, Riley Downing.
Hey there, Riley. Got us?
Yeah, hey, how's it going, guys?
Oh, we're having a fun time up here in the booth watching you guys try to manage this fun roval that we call Charlotte.
This is the best roval.
I will have to agree. This and Daytona for me.
Okay.
We have our producer asked a question. I'm kind of curious as well. So this is a question from Mr. Bryan, Sawyer, and myself. How long have you been practicing how to drift in this thing? Because you seem to be really good at it.
Anytime I'd like to practice the track, I'll practice for 5 minutes and then I just give up and I'll just start drifting it. And then every time in the warm up.
Now, back to more serious questions. You and Broderick, you two were battling pretty much both features all race long. Did you know in that second feature that pretty much whatever outcome, whoever finished in front of each other between you two would be P2, or were you just kind of trying to make sure he was just behind you?
Well, once my teammate Ian spun out of control and lost it in the final chicane, he started doing some math and he wanted to get the fastest lap. And then I said, oh, well, am I going to be in the podium for this? And he goes, yeah, if you just hold the position, you'll be good. I said, okay, well, I'll make sure I do that then. It's always good to have your teammates with you.
Agreed. Did you find something? Because it seemed like through the backstretch chicane all that long that you pretty much were one of the fastest guys. Did you find something there that you were able to kind of hit each apex right, and then that one time the wall? As we were joking up here the whole time.
On the backstretch chicane or the final chicane?
No, the backstretch one. The backstretch one, you were like flying through it compared to everyone else.
Yeah, I mean, this car really does well when you brake early with it. And if you just ramp it over the two curbs that are there, there's no slowdown, there's no penalty, there's no damage to the car or anything. So it kind of just helps you straight line the chicane through there a bit. And on the final chicane, you'll notice the colors of the grass are different. The darker color is still tarmac. So you can just treat it like the road still and get a little bit extra.
Good enough. As like I asked Broderick, will you be joining us for the Triple Crown here coming up of all 3 street circuits?
Well, I promised my sponsors we would try and be there for most of them. Stomptown 2X, Rust Server, and Storeguard on TikTok. They're very excited to see SSA in the Triple Crown. So hopefully we're there. I'll only be able to make it to 1 due to work, but Ian should make it to all 3, hopefully.
As lastly, who'd you like to thank to have you have a good, successful season?
You know, everyone at Sunshine Autos, everyone that showed up, Bob and Ian especially. You know, Dan, I bought him the car with the promise that he would show up for every race that I show up, and he missed this one, so maybe he'll buy me the LMDH next week to make up for that. But, you know, everyone at SSA, you know, we all put our time in the lab to figure out the setups. I don't know what Broderick was running on his setup, but we were all running a 0 driver bias, which puts the car directly into all-wheel drive, which probably gives more acceleration off the corners as well. And then, you know, that's all thanks to Ian with his setup tweaks that he does and brainstorming between the team.
For sure is. We're happy to have you and the whole Sunshine Auto team all season long, and look forward to having you guys next week. Next week.
Yeah, hopefully I'll only be there for Detroit, so hopefully Ian does show up. Hopefully everyone shows up. You know, let's get some more signups for that.
100% agreed.
All right.
We'll have one last chat, and then we'll close some stuff up here. It'll be with the surprise himself, Mr. Jeff Mathis. You got us?
I do have you.
I recognize your name from one race in NASA, and then you never showed up again, which broke my heart. But I'm glad that you're here. How the hell did you win this race, from your perspective? Because
that's a great question.
Yeah, I don't know. Finished what, 7th, 5th in the first feature, and then everyone combusts, and you took the lead and ran away.
Yeah, it was. I can assure you, nobody here expected this less than me. That was a complete surprise. It's a ludicrously hot track, so I was kind of close in the first race in the setup with the anti-roll bars and whatnot. But it got tight in the end. I just kind of took a whack at it for the second race, and I was just running decent. And then I'm horrible with the names. I know his car, but I don't know his name. He kind of left the door open, getting ready to go back onto the oval, and I was close enough. And then the car just kept going good.
When you were battling Pritchard, I was going to say, like, what was the thought process in that penultimate corner re-entering the oval? Because it's not typically a passing zone. Was it just a Senna go for the gap because it's there, or were you just going to send it? I mean, was there any thought process?
I was never, ever planning on sending it. I even thought to myself at one point, I would rather finish second than have us both lose, because what's the point of that? Right. But yeah, I noticed the right-hand third corner from getting back onto the oval, the right-hand kind of the top of the hill, I could keep it more inside and really get a drive out of there compared to him. So I got a good run through there. I was kind of slowly making my way forward, and then all of a sudden he really left the door open there, and like he's been pretty gentle on track limits there. It's kind of a safe spot, so I knew if I could put it through there, I could get a decent run onto the banking, and then just hope it all shakes out nice going to the chicane.
As what was your as not to be distracted, Bryan has broken our stream both internally and on Twitch. I'm not sure what he did. I mean, what's your thought on after tonight? You think you're going to come back for the Triple Crown?
Oh, I'm definitely thinking about it much more. I mean, I've driven these cars a little bit. I drove these cars this week and did some testing previously, and they were okay. They are a lot better in a race, especially if we get some cooler temperatures. I think the street circuit, these things would be really fun on them, especially Chicago.
As last question I have for you, do you have anyone you'd like to thank for your surprise feature and overall win this evening?
Oh, I got the overall too. Sweet. I'd like to specifically thank JJ, that runs TWR. He's without him, I wouldn't have known for this. Other than that, my buddies, I'm just calling the boys. It's too many to mention real quick. They've just been very supportive and keeping me going. And specifically, my buddy John, he does Sebworks paints. He did the modification of the paint job to this car. And yeah, just that's all I got. It was a surprise myself.
Cody, you got anything for our race winner? I think Cody has fallen off the face of the earth.
It's a possibility.
No, I'm here. Sorry. One, congratulations on your win for the race and the overall. As unfortunately for me, you passed my team car because I'm the team owner to that car. Although we are partnered with TWRS, so in a way, hey, TWRS won too. So super happy for that. Just congratulations on putting kind of making good tweaks to your car and able to round out to a good finish here and good momentum into the Triple Crown.
Thank you.
And finally, as before we get final thoughts, for those of you that are still with us, thank you so much for joining us all season long, and I'll probably repeat that verbatim. But keep in mind that this is not the end of the EMSA Service Experts eRoval series. We're going to have the Triple Crown starting next week at Long Beach in California. Same day of the week, same time, 9 p.m. Eastern on Sundays, ASN Live for that. Tentatively, it's going to be on Twitch. We might be doing an internal move to YouTube for everything, but we'll keep you posted either way. Cody, final thoughts on this evening and the season overall?
Evening was as expected, I would say. Real entertaining action. This track is super like racy and competitive. Like I said, there's a ton of passing zones, and even zones that we didn't think were really passing zones, they proved to be passing zones tonight. So this car fits super well with this track, so it was a good, entertaining both races. We didn't have it like some nights we have it where one race is kind of calm and some races are wild, where this one they were both a little bit wild, a little bit calm, just kind of that perfect mix. So, and overall for the season, like Dylan said, we went through a little bit of, I wouldn't say growing pains, just growing as a series, trying to figure out what's best for this car, because nobody's ran an all-electric car on the service, obviously, with it being a brand new car. First full season with it, I think it was a success. Hopefully this series can keep growing and building. Hopefully more people want to try their hand on it, and just looking forward to what these cars will do on a street circuit now. Because we kind of, like we said, that little bit of this track is somewhat like a street circuit, and it was pretty entertaining. So let's go to actual street circuits now and see what it'll do.
As at first, I was kind of confused as to like what is this concept? The electric car that just came out on Rovals? What? Then we watched Daytona. I was like, okay, done. So Daytona, we had Pritchard. New Hampshire was Ian Lane. Then we had Paul Krohn begin his domination in the middle portion of the season. He won in Iowa, Rockingham, Indianapolis, Gateway, and Atlanta. Then we had that tie between Downey and Johnson, the co-feature race winners in Homestead, Miami. And then Charlotte, where we had Jeff Mathis a few moments ago. Tonight was wonderful, surprising as always, and this season was wonderful as well. Thank you, everyone, from EMSA, from us at the Automotive Sports Network, for having us this season. Hope you guys enjoyed our coverage from EMSA, or the viewers, even if you're not involved at all. Thank you for joining us all season long on ASN Live or ASN On Demand. From all of us at the Automotive Sports Network, Bryan, Sawyer, Cody, Erdmann, Philip Krause, Victor Valley, my name's Josh Mertz. This season is over, but the Triple Crown begins next week in Long Beach. Congratulations all season to Paul Cronin on the championship and Jeff Mathis in his debut win. Season's in the books. Triple Crown begins next week. But until then, so long, everyone.